sorry, 5:45. We have Through the Pain, but we're going to actually show that right now. And Through the Pain, that group is led by and with Woonmi, Christelle, and Dima. And so we do have a video, so we're actually going to show the video at this time. Thank you all for joining.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mumi Bakare, a stem cell transplant recipient and the Communications Director for Through the Pain, Inc. I'm also the executive producer and host of the Through the Genes podcast.
And I'm Christelle Solomon, a health policy and education analyst with the UCSF Sickle Cell Center of Excellence and your co-host. We are so honored to be here today at this powerful event co-hosted by Cayenne Wellness and the Global Alliance of Sickle Cell Disease Organizations under one unifying theme: global action, local impact.
Now, that theme resonates deeply with us because Through the Genes was born out of a need to bring complex science to the people who need it the most: patients, caregivers, and the community advocates who stand behind them.
Exactly. And we're here to help our community, our global sickle cell family, navigate the complexities of cell and gene-based therapies with confidence. We want people to feel informed, empowered, and ready to advocate for themselves and for others.
Get to know our hosts. Wumi Bakare is a multicultural citizen in the sickle cell disease community, known for her commitment to stigma eradication. With a fervent dedication to advancing awareness and understanding, Bakare leverages both proactive and reactive media engagement to transform perceptions of sickle cell disease. Her lived experience informs her leadership roles on the Curative Therapy Advisory Board for Beam Therapeutics, Vertex Pharmaceuticals, Pfizer, and Healthful Data. She also has board memberships with Through the Pain, Inc., the Sickle Cell Disease Partnership, and the Gift of Adoption Fund, Washington chapter. She was diagnosed with the most severe form of sickle cell at 18 months. Bakare's grueling journey led her to participate in a groundbreaking clinical trial at the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute at the NIH, culminating in a successful allogeneic stem cell transplant in 2019. Bakare thrives as the founder of WBPR Agency, working across diverse corporate disciplines and providing strategic media counsel to top brands. Christelle Solomon is a sickle cell warrior and health equity advocate who brings a unique and necessary lens to the healthcare system, shaped by her lived experience as a patient and a formal medical trainee. After living with sickle cell SC for 28 years, she underwent a successful stem cell transplant that not only changed the trajectory of her health, but also sharpened her vision for a medical system that honors the humanity of every patient. Christelle currently serves as a health policy and education analyst at the UCSF Sickle Cell Center of Excellence, where she leads efforts to bridge the gap between patients, providers, and scientists. In a system that too often dehumanizes both patients and providers, her work is a call to remember that every individual, regardless of race, socioeconomic status, or diagnosis, is deserving of quality care, dignity, and compassion. Christelle continues to challenge and reimagine the systems that failed her, and so many others, not out of bitterness, but out of deep hope for what medicine could become. And with that, we would like to introduce the entire global sickle cell community to our show, the Through the Genes podcast. Through the Genes podcast is the first ever patient-centered podcast focused entirely on cell and gene-based therapies for sickle cell disease. It was created to bridge the knowledge gap and amplify the voices of warriors and caregivers who are navigating these transformative therapies.
Each episode brings together real stories, medical insight, and ethical discussion. Our guests include leading researchers, scientists, bioethicists, hematology-oncology experts, caregivers, and most importantly, patients who've experienced the journey firsthand.
Since our launch, we've released 10 impactful episodes We've collaborated with institutions like the UCSF Sickle Cell Center of Excellence, the National Institutes of Health, Cure Sickle Cell Initiative, and the Sickle Cell Community Consortium. And our podcast has reached thousands of listeners in over 15 countries.
We've tackled everything from informed consent to fertility preservation to the emotional roller coaster of post-transplant recovery. We've done it by grounding each episode in community wisdom and lived experience.
About the show. Through the Genes is hosted by the Sickle Sisters and offers firsthand accounts from patients, caregivers, and providers who have witnessed the effects of transformative therapies, revealing the highs, lows, and everything in between. Supported by Beam Therapeutics, Synthago, and Kamau Therapeutics, Season 2 of the show dives deeper into ethical considerations, long-term impacts, and clinical insights, empowering patients and caregivers to make informed decisions about emerging treatment options. Here's what we've achieved so far. Our show has been viewed in over 15 countries, including the United States of America, Belgium, Puerto Rico, the United Kingdom, Nigeria, Norway, Canada, and Egypt, with most of our listeners coming from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Amazon Alexa. Through the Genes podcast is premiering today, World Sickle Cell Day, which is June 19th globally. This new season is bigger, it's bolder, and it's more global in scope.
We'll be diving into some great topics like equity and access in the gene therapy pipeline, what happens to the body as it goes through gene therapy, the role of donors in the transplant process, mental wellness during the transplant journey, and what happens after a transformative therapy has failed.
Right now, we'd love to give you a sneak peek of what's to come. This is the official trailer of Season 2 of the Through the Genes podcast. Hey, Sickle family. I'm Wumi Bakare.
I'm Christelle Solomon.
With a special guest appearance from Dima Hendricks.
And we would like to welcome you to the Through the Genes podcast,
where we talk about living,
healing,
recovering,
and exploring transformative therapies for sickle cell disease.
We will also talk about our individual journeys and the bond that we have built as Sickle Cell Sisters. Hey, Sickle family, welcome to another season of Through the Genes podcast. This season, we're giving you 12 well-curated episodes going beneath the surface. Our podcast is one where we have real, unfiltered conversations about cell and gene-based therapies and patient advocacy.
We decided to add someone to the sisterhood. I would like to introduce you to Christelle Solomon, our new sickle sister. Welcome to the family, Christelle.
Thank you. Glad to be a part of it. So excited.
As I recall, Christelle, and I'm not going to go into the details of this, but I don't think I'm revealing anything surprising, is that your career arc, because of your sickle cell disease, was not going the direction you wanted it to go. And in fact, it was hopelessly stalled, I would say. And so from my point of view, the pain you were experiencing was so debilitating, and your desire to be free of that warranted consideration of a transformative therapy.
There are so many clinical trials, different investigational gene therapy options, and they all work slightly differently. They're not targeting the same exact thing. Can you help us understand how to break down the different therapies and what makes each of them unique?
I'm going to divide them into 3 buckets. Okay. The first bucket is to use a virus to insert a new copy of the gene into the stem cells that will make red blood cells.
When you watch patients go through this therapy, patients who don't have a spleen, anecdotally, have a shorter time to those platelets growing back because they don't have to refill their spleen with those platelets. And so sometimes they end up discharged a little bit quicker from the hospital.
Wow. My mind just blew. I'm like, wait, so not having a seed is a flex?
This is wild.
How do you manage expectations of donors? Because in your case, you are a pediatric hematologist, so you are dealing with a very vulnerable group, children. There are some families like mine where my brother was older, he was in his 30s, so he was more informed about what he was signing on for. But you have some patients that their donor is a year old, 2 years old. They're not in a position to be able to consent to this rigorous process. How do you manage those expectations for pediatric patients?
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, this is a process, right? And so, as far as possible, we try to pick donors that are at least 18 years of age or older.
I
And
just
so,
want to pick your brain a little bit about how you navigated that conversation with your husband and also with other people in your family, because there's like a phase. The doctor is telling you, and you're trying to internalize. How do I reconcile? I'm not ready to have a child right now, but I know I have a child who's living right now who is going to need this intervention moving forward. How do you balance that thought? And then you have to have a discussion with your husband because this is your family that you're building together. Tell us a little bit more about that if you don't mind.
If we have another child, we're gonna love this child as much as we love Alessia. Like there was no discussion. So we knew this is what's gonna happen.
When Wumi came to you about the HLA screening and possibly donating your stem cells, how did you feel and what was the first thing that came to your mind at the time?
To be frank, does it hurt? Was the first question that
That's
came to
real.
mind. Because you hear a lot of these stories about what that involves in the screening process and what that would be and feel like and all of that. So that was the first thought that popped into my mind.
When you're older and healthcare providers are stigmatizing you and labeling you as a drug addict or drug seeker or frequent flyer or sickler, that's traumatic. And you may not have experienced any of those things up to that point of going through the transplant, but it can be reactivated. So that's the other thing to kind of look out for. Like, you've pressed it down, just put it aside, and then you're reactivated, like Wunmi described it, and you're like, what's going on? And so that's where you can really stop and think, I'm being triggered by this, even though that's not what's happening now. Something very different is happening, and yet I'm being triggered by it. So that's all to say, getting back to this stress-related growth, that it's really important to be aware of what's happening. And then that's where you can grow.
And you can catch us, as always, on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Audible, you name it. We are there. Thanks for listening, and until next time.
This show is brought to you by Beam Therapeutics, Synthago, and Kamau Therapeutics, with support from the UCSF Sickle Cell Center of Excellence, Through the Pain Inc., and Sickle Cell Prodigy.
We hope that gave you a feel for what we're building and why it matters. If we've learned anything from this work, it's that healing begins with understanding.
That's why we're calling on you, providers, advocates, social workers, clinical scientists, researchers. Help us get this podcast into the hands of every person touched by sickle cell disease. Share it with your networks. Use it in clinics, bring it into schools, and even in support groups.
This is more than just a podcast. It's a platform for global action with local impact. It's a tool for effective self-advocacy.
Now you can subscribe to Through the Genes podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and Audible. Anywhere you receive your audiovisual content, then we are there. If you would like to learn more or join our mailing list, we advise that you visit www.throughthegenes.com. Again, that is www.throughthegenes, as in GENES.com, to learn more and get involved.
Many thanks again to Cayenne Wellness and all of you in the room doing the hard work to move our community forward.
Christelle and I cannot wait to grow this movement with you. Thank you so much for your time. We hope you enjoy our premiere episode, and we will see you next year.
You're muted, Dr. Raleigh.
Thank you, thank you. Wonderful video and through the pain, everyone. So it is they have Instagram. Well, they're on everything like that, like they said, Spotify. And so in the chat, through thegenes.com, they they're on social media. Any questions at this time?
And one of the colleagues is here if anybody does have any questions. Miss Dimba Hicks is in the building.
Oh, you mean Dima?
Yes, Dima is here.
Is here. And so thank you. Yep. So if you have any questions, someone from the Through the Genes could answer that for you. And I did want to just say again, thank you for you all being here. And I can't believe it. We've already surpassed 1/3 of our time. So I'm looking at it at 8, 8, and 8. So we've already done the first 8. And so, hey, Dima, good morning.
Hey, good morning. You are hanging in there.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Um, well, we do have at the Author's Corner coming up, but I just want to make sure that there were any questions. Bridget says they but loves what they are doing. So you have a fan. Bridget Reynolds loves what Through the Pain is about. Uh, and ditto on that. Uh, I think it's wonderful that you guys came up with. I love it. I remember seeing it for the first time last year and said, "Oh, wow, you guys got it going on." And now you're in year 2. So that's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, if there aren't any other questions, can we find out if everyone is currently here for Arthur's Corner, which would be Elle, um, Jenica, Chris, and Naomi. Is everyone here? Want to make sure that everyone has arrived. Oh, thanks, Bridget. That everyone has arrived for the Author's Corner. That's another thing too that we like. It's wonderful that we have such we are marked by with such talent. So these young ladies are doing wonderful things and having access to some of the key players in this space. So that's wonderful. It looks
So,
like it
I'm
looks
sorry,
like
Dr. Raleigh. KW had a question. Can I answer that?
sure, go ahead.
So,
I'm
KW asked if there's a difference between gene therapy and stem cell therapy. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that gene therapy is a treatment that alters the gene, whereas stem cell therapy repairs and replaces the damaged cells. So there's other ways there's one way to get a stem cell therapy is when you get your own, this is what I tried to do. You get your own stem cells or you get your own blood cells harvested and then they alter them and then they replace them. So I hope that answered your question.
So, Dr. Raleigh, did you happen to see the question in the Q&A?
Oh, okay. I need to pay attention to that as well. Let's see. Let's go there you all for a moment. Why do people prefer BMT in peds only instead of adults? And why for adults we only recommend gene editing? Um, that's a good question, actually. I think one of the things that you have to understand, bone marrow transplant's been around for a long time. So I think it's preferred because it was the only thing that we had at that time. Um, Also, even though there's been a push to extend the age to
Mhm.
do bone marrow transplant, uh, there's still not a lot in terms of, and Dima definitely step in for adults at a certain age to participate in bone marrow transplant. But bone marrow transplant's been around for a long time. Gene therapy, officially FDA approved just since December 8th, 2023, although there were clinical trials prior. And as well, there's an age limit. Did you want to add to that as well, Dima?
So there's a really an age limit because honestly, the older you are, the harder it is for our bodies to adhere to the therapy. So for me, and then KW asked if you're considered cure when you have the stem cell transplant as well. So this is why we have the podcast, because it's so complex. Yes, some of us are considered cure. Like my colleague who, if you test her blood, in her blood, it says that she has sickle cell trait, but she still experiences crisis. She still goes to the hospital, and she still has AVN from when the sickle cell did so much damage to her hips and to the rest of her body. So you're cured, but your body just may not feel as if it's cured or present as being cured. So this new revolutionary stem cell gene therapy with Casgevy and all of these great technologies, they're great, and we're emerging to new sciences and technology. However, um, there's still some kinks to work out,
Well,
and
and I
that's why we have the
and I
show.
wanted to just add as well, Dima, that I think the term people try to stay away from curative or cure and say
Yeah,
transform. Um, with gene therapy, we don't have much data still because we don't know what it's going to be like 10 years from now with the person being on it or 20 years from now. So there's not much data, but we like to use the word transformative versus curative.
correct.
Yeah. Thanks, Joy, for bringing our attention to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think we should, Dima, have the Authors Corner folks dive right on in.
Sure. Thank you for having me, and enjoy the rest of World Sickle Cell Day, everybody.
Thank you.